let's think about your search experience. When you're searching for something, the reason you're searching is because you're trying to get a job done and you don't have the information you need to get your job done, right? I've got to get this done, and what's the policy? Or I'm trying to write a proposal. I wish I knew what that last one that was similar looked like. So you start off your work annoyed because you can't get your job done. And I used to hear people talk about turning search into find. Finding a set of results isn't good enough. It really isn't. Because is it helping you get your job done? Are we helping you with the steps to finish things? So as you start thinking about doing search the right way, you should be thinking about what is the problem someone's trying to solve and how do they solve it? And if you can do that in search, that's an experience people will like. Now, as I've said all that, I'm going to use another quote that I've kind of gotten excited about, and you'll see more about this. Search is about things, not strings. Anyone heard that before? Yeah. So it used to be I would search for a word and you'd get it back in your search results and a link with a nice little highlighted or underscore. Here's the word you searched for. And that's mildly helpful. We've gotten a long way on that. But what if we actually understood what that word was? What if we treated our search results as, I'm looking for a policy and I know this is a policy. I'm looking for a person and I know it's a person. What if I understood that context? How much would that change search? That's one of the things that knowledge graphs and an approach to a rich, action-oriented search helps change. So let's look at some examples of this. And I always like to start with Google, not because it's perfect, but I can't tell you how many customers I go in and go, I wish I could have the Google search experience, right? And then I hear the IT people say, and by the way, I'm an IT geek, so great empathy there. Well, we don't have $2 billion to spend on search development. That can't happen. But there are some things Google does well that actually aren't that hard and that expensive. And one of them is when you're looking for a search result, it says, what is this result? So last week, and yes, I was late getting my presentation in because I sent it in last week. I was looking for a movie to go to. And so I did a movie search, and I had seen Zombieland. Now, I'm not a big, actually I ended up going to see Harriet Tubman, which was interesting. I'm not a big fantasy or science fiction person, but Zombieland had quite a cast. So I searched for Zombieland, and the first thing Google does is gives you a list of results of when the movie times are. And guess what? When you click on the movie times, you can reserve the movie. Think about that. I have a job to do. I have something I'm going to do. Google recognizes that that result is a movie, and that what it responds back with is the information I need to understand the movie, plus the ability to take an action on it. Right? Down at the bottom, we've got one of these lovely title with links and some text. But what Google's doing up front and up top, right up there, is saying, I know what a movie is. I'm not searching for a string, I'm searching for a thing, a movie. I recognize that, and I recognize what someone would do with a movie. Does that make sense? A little different way of thinking about your search results. Let's do one we did with a customer. So I was working with a international pharmaceutical company in Brussels. And we've got two examples from the work we did here. And by the way, I'm horrible at drawing. That's what my stuff looks like. On the right is what someone who actually knows how to do user interface design looks like. And we said, what are the problems? And one of the things they said is we were speaking to someone in marketing, and this person said, well, when I'm looking at a piece that we're putting out for marketing, I want to know if it's right. How do I find the right thing? So if it's about neurology, how do I find what's there? Right? So that was the problem. We said, well, a person is one of your search results, and there's information you're going to need. What do you need to know to be able to answer your question? Because that's what's slowing you down, so that you can get your marketing literature approved and out the door. Right? I'm looking for a person, so as I look for them, I want to know what their expertise is. Yannick Lilly is a neurology associate in the Department of Neurology. Chances are she's going to be able to help me. What's the very next thing I'm likely to do? I probably want to contact her. If you notice on this search result, there's 5 different ways to contact that person. 5 ways. Any way you can imagine, every way we could dream up, because that was an action we wanted to take. I'm helping this person get their job done, right? We also had 2 other things that were important because they were multinational. One, we had their location. And we've had to do this for a number of customers, because if you think about it, that location, time zones, right? You don't want to call this person. You know, they have an office in Atlanta, an office in Brussels. That's 6 hours different, right? You want to know who you're calling and where they are so that you don't call them after hours, right? Because it could be their cell phone. And then languages. Because they spoke so many languages, you wanted to know which ones they spoke so you could contact them. So again, we looked at a search result. We identified it as a thing, a person. And then we talked about what would you need to do? Why would you want to talk to a person and what would we support there?